Hello. Today we're going to be talking about starting over. And before I start, I wanted to read you an essay-ish, not really, but kind of, on starting over. So here it goes. One of the hardest things about my life is that I've had to start over many times. Sometimes I'm in the middle of a life I've built when I have to bring the bulldozer. Sometimes a life just fizzles out, a long and drawn out death where the flowers lose their color and music just doesn't sound the same anymore. I pity the life of a phoenix. Nowhere is home when one can't even stay in one's own body. Sitting comfortably somewhere is a blessing and one of my biggest wishes. When one's life is constantly upended, either physically or you keep on falling through trapdoors of memory in your own mind, you're not living as presently. One of the first times my life was upended, I started to believe in God. I said, the soil beneath me may be unfurled, but there must be a God to hold me stable. I believed that I was standing still only due to divine power. I guess I always had a habit of not giving myself credit. When my life continued to be a vicious rainstorm, I believed that no God was coming to save me. I was too deep in, and it must have been a godly punishment. Again, not giving myself credit for my own work. How could I? I had reached my own claws and ripped my heart out, took a hammer to all that I had. It feels more like yours when its remnants are in your hands. It was my life, my friends, my family, my health, my academics, and no one else's, not even God's. You can water your life to death just as you can suffocate it. Admitting to having a hand in the destruction of who you were is the first step, even if it is the most expected response. To be able to grieve yourself, you have to place the blame on something other than the divine. I couldn't move on when I felt like a narcissistic criminal who deserved divine punishment. I am human, and I had a hand in destroying my life. That's it. Simple. And now, rebuild it better and do it again and again and again and again. Grief is a weird thing. I grieve myself, not yet in my grave. I grieve my 12-year-old happy and innocent self. I grieve my 20-year-old naive and sensitive self. I wonder whether my physical grave will be any different. Parts of me are scattered all throughout the world, scattered in my loved ones. I preemptively grieve a life before it has even ended. I spent my whole life holding my breath, waiting for it all to come crashing down. Sometimes I brought the wrecking ball myself out of anticipation. I could feel the weight in me. This is all going to end one day. How does one live with the knowledge? One day, no one is going to remember you. Everything you have ever done, everything you know will be irrelevant, and nothing you have done will really matter. So what's the point? Why even start over? I'm still figuring it out. Some days I wake up and I don't see the point. Some days I wake up and I feel all the love in the world. Most times the point is my friends, my sister, my loved ones. That spark you feel when you think about everything you loved when you were a kid, every dream you had, and the chase to reach it. You will be forgotten, so you might as well do it. 12-year-old me knew more all about life than 21-year-old me. You lose your spark when you lose your childlike hope. The best part is, you can find it again. Even after years of wandering the world aimlessly, you can find that spark again. Nourish it, cherish it. It is becoming rarer, so don't let it. The biggest life lesson you are tasked with during your time on earth is to live. So I'm going to live all over again. Fearfully, hesitantly, petrified, unsure, miserably, manically, and thankfully. So that's what I wrote on starting over. And when I read it, I'm getting a lot more thoughts. I think that we tend to think that we're not really allowed to have do-over cards, that we are undeserving of them. And I think that a lot of more of us like don't a lot of us don't give ourselves enough credit for our capability to start over. We think that that's not really possible. That what's done is done. You just have to live with every consequences for the rest of your life and be miserable. I think it comes from the sense of punishing ourselves for our actions and then calling it divine. It reminds me of that quote by Carl Jung that says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will continue to guide your life and you will call it fate." I think that is exactly Carl Jung really cooked right there because I think that that is exactly what I was doing to myself, really. I felt dirty and unworthy. And so I was punishing myself by putting myself constantly in these unsatisfactory places. And when it inevitably goes wrong, I'm like, see, that's you. That's you right there. That's what you deserve. It's 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 like punching yourself. It's kind of funny. Um, I think the biggest step to growth that I did in the past couple months, which my therapist is really proud of me, guys. Like I'm winning therapy. I'm getting an A plus, but I think the biggest step that I've been making is the sense of punishment that I give myself is starting to like weigh less on me, and I can feel it starting to lift. I've never grown so much spiritually so fast. I I don't know. I've had phases of growth. I'm not as destructive to myself as I was when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, you know? But this is one probably either the most or the second most expansive phase I've had where it really has left an impact on me in the shortest amount of time, I think, even 3 months, 3.5 months now. And I've never grown more. And I'm truly grateful for my therapist for that one. She knows what she's doing. She's also cooking. But I think part of me is also like thinking spiritually, like the planets are in my side now. But also, I think that this need of self punishment is starting to lift. And I'm seeing my life more as a blessing than it is a curse. And I think let me just look at some things I wrote because it's quite interesting. Writing really is a passage into my mind. You can see like and you can tell a lot about a person through their writing. And you can really see these parts of my psyche that I don't even recognize is there when I write. Yeah, so many of us are stuck in that loop of self-punishment that just there is no room to grow at that point, right? If you think that life is a punishment, there's not really sorry philosophers, there's not really much you can enjoy about it. And I thought that people who enjoyed life, those, I'm like the weirdos, the mentally stables, I thought they're insane for being happy, but considering I'm always like, oh, considering the state of the world, what is there to be happy about? But that is so not helpful. It's helpful. That's not helping the state of the world to think of life as some kind of like sentence. It's it's a very defeatist ideology. You can, by being happy, spread that joy to other people and make the world a better place slowly. Obviously, you're not going to change the lives of many people. And it reminds me of that like Tumblr quote that's like, it's a college professor being like, I see that hope, that spark in you guys that says, I want to save the world. And I want you to know that it's okay if you only save one person, and it's okay if that person is you. That is, I don't know who came up with that. I doubt it was actually a college professor. Not because that's not something a college professor would say, it's because most things on Tumblr are made up. Talking about college professors, I can't wait. I used to hate telling people that I wanted to be a professor because I had this like, they would look at me and be like, yeah, like you would get your PhD, postdoc and shit like that. Yeah, sure. Like they thought I wouldn't even make it through my bachelor's kind of thing, generational courses, shit like that. But it's kind of like slightly pretentious in the sense that oh, I think I'm gonna one day be able to finish my PhD and stuff like that. But you know what? As protest to that, I'm gonna start telling everybody I want to be a professor because I will finish my PhD one day. How about that? That was a tangent. I was talking about what was it? Yeah, it's okay if you save yourself. That's where it was. Um, I'm gonna save myself. I'm gonna save myself. I'm gonna choose me to save. I'm not gonna save somebody else. I'm not in the sense. Okay, as in by I'm not gonna be spending all my time trying to save somebody else in the hope that hey, if I can save someone else, I could save me. It's okay if the only person I could save is safe, but it's like me. It's okay. And I think I'm a whole lot worth saving, which is a new thought. So interesting. Talk about suffering and stuff like that in my writing. It's like, did I even say the word suffering? It's so implied. Yeah, I didn't say the word suffering, but it's implied that life is about suffering. And yeah, you can see that ideology in me in my writing, but that's not true. And I feel like the past couple of weeks, and I don't mean that in the sense that, oh, it's been 2 weeks and maybe I'm manic or some shit like that. No, it's been, I think, like, we're in the second week, third week of May. So about 5 weeks. That's a long running thing that I can be happy despite adversity. There has been so much adversity in my life in the past couple of weeks, but I don't even really call them. I mean, yes, obviously they're observed, like they're horrible, but I haven't been as affected as I previously would have been because I'm happy. I'm actually happy. Like, guys, I'm actually happy. Actually, which is insane. I never thought I would get to this point. I thought this point was fictional. I thought people who are actually happy, they must be like just oblivious. Just like completely naive and oblivious to the world. But they're not. You can have knowledge and be happy. That's possible. And that's not only possible, that's possible to you. So if it's possible to me, trust me, it's possible to you. Um, just just trust me. It's so weird. I wrote down a summer bucket list because we are going summer 2025 with a bang. Okay, my summer bucket list. Watch a ballet performance. I promise I'm not pretentious. I promise. And also, talking about the word pretentious, let's go on a tangent. Because one of my favorite creators, TJ the X, they have this video in which they talk about like the word pretentious. I think it was the art sense video, and they were like how that word should be banned in creative spaces because the fear of being cringe eats at people's creativity. And that's so true. That is like deadpan how I am. Fear of being viewed as pretentious, as too much, as underqualified, as just like a prick, like an idiotic, unself aware prick. That eats at me and that paralyzes my creativity. And I think that I tend to like judge myself before other people have the chance to judge me. So I would like to watch a ballet performance. Anyways, hopefully the Nutcracker. Wait, no, Nutcracker is only in the winter. Giselle, I know it's happening soon. It might be happening tomorrow, or maybe it was tonight. I know it was supposed to happen this week. I didn't buy the ticket. I was busy a little bit. I could have made it though. It's okay. They probably have multiple viewings of Giselle. Hopefully. If not, later in the summer, there might be a performance. Now, watch a symphony performance. There's a caveat to this. Not school related. Don't care. They're not that good. Not qualified to say that. I'm aware. Anyways, um, that was so funny. Two, not the one I actually just watched. Anyways, next. Teach yourself to sew. Can you see that? I think you can. Yeah, you can see that. That is a sewing machine I bought 2 months ago with the intent, and also like fabric and shit, with the intent of making a specific skirt and a specific top. Do you see the seal on that box? It still has not been opened because I fell into a depressive episode for like 2 weeks. But also, because I was like, if I open that seal, I have to immediately start creating something. Why? Just keep it open and hopefully it'll motivate you to start. And I feel like the act of opening it will motivate me to start. So that's a ridiculous thought process that I have. Um, okay. Figure out the next 2 months. I'm not gonna specify what that means. That is way too personal. Um, learn 3 pieces of music and piano. I currently know a cumulative 2. By that I mean I know an entire piece, finally. Uh, and then I know half a piece and half another piece. Let's not do that. I was me basically the music version of DNFing those 2 other pieces. I didn't really like them halfway through learning them. I get that. Learn 3 pieces though. You need to be the strict teacher that you want, and I don't want to be a strict teacher, but like you want to give yourself that attitude. Read at least 5 books. Pretty self-explanatory. I have books on my desk, books underneath that laptop, that balancing it. That I need to read because I bought them a while ago now and I haven't read them yet. Which is so funny how it's easier for me to write than it is to read because I've written 3 chapters of my book. We'll get to that. 2.5, but like outline wise is 3 of my book. So it's easier and wrote like a couple poems too. So it's easier for me to write than it is to read for some fucking reason. Maybe it's because I'm self-obsessed. Anyways, Write at least 25 chapters of the book. 25 is a little bit too generous, honestly. I have 3 months. Hold on. Hold your horses. But I'm actually gonna assume that my book is about to be like it's gonna be like at least 30 with the ambitious plan I have. Because I don't know how I'm gonna because in the beginning I was like, oh, I'm gonna have at least 4 deaths. All the same character, I'm not gonna explain. One and it's like or like I already seen that being a book, so it's very ambitious. I'm gonna have to cut a lot of things out. Um so I forgot what I was saying. So I'm gonna continue on. Finish an outline for the book. I know the outline is actually supposed to be the first thing that you write down. I start writing the chapter before I wrote the outline. I don't give a fuck. But I do need one if I want to actually finish a draft. Right? So, next one. Release at least 2 YouTube videos, long form. We're in the process of doing that. Start a book club or join one. Okay, I either need to join a physical book club with some 35 middle aged women who love Jane Austen, or I'm gonna have to start one with my best friend because we talked about it and I think we want to read some of the same books. So that's a great idea. Virtual book club or in person. Okay, make 3 wearable pieces of clothes. Sewing machine. We had a whole thing about that. Okay. Show up for my friends as much as possible. Past couple months were pretty hard for me. Past since summer, so maybe about less than a year has been pretty hard for me, due to reasons. And my friends showed up for me 110%. And this is not necessarily like a reciprocity thing. It's not because they showed up for me that I now want to show up for them. I just feel like one of the biggest blessings in my life is my friends. So and I want to step up my game. I want to show up for them and surprise, literally, but also, you know, I want to up the stakes, like, you know, level up. Yeah. Visit Seattle. I need to see my friends this summer because I finally got a job. She's employed. No more unemployed behavior, guys. But I want to visit my friends again this summer because I'm finally going to be able to afford a plane ticket. Uh, um, so I can't wait. I'm gonna have to pick the date pretty perfectly because all my friends have to be there. I swear to freaking God. Unless, they're back in their home country, then I can't do anything about that. But the ones who are nearby, I swear to fucking God. Uh, so I have to like organize it in such a way that everyone shows up. And so I can't wait. Uh, experiment with my gender expression. I really wrote that down. Okay, the gist of this is back when I was living in my country, I was actually a lot more experimental with my gender. Not because of the coronavirus effect, I swear to God, but just oh my God, I just realized that's actually slightly offensive. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. But actually, Lost Houses, it was the coronavirus effect. Sorry, Miss starts experimenting. What, December of 2020? Shut the fuck up, Haya. Way too pretentious. Um, like, I miss being more experimental with my gender expression. I personally like I don't want to go into a whole ramble about it, but like I used to feel a lot more confident in myself when I dressed mask like a little bit like a mask. Um and like I would wake up and I would feel whatever the fuck gender I'm feeling and be like, hey, I'm gonna dress according to that today. So some days I dress pretty femininely, some days I dressed masculinely and it was quite great. Like it was great. I felt very confident in myself and my body. And even though slightly, obviously some photos I look back and I'm like slightly cringe, like you chose that outfit, like that's the combination you want to go with. But it's okay. That's a learning curve for everybody. Um, but I think ever since I came here, it's been almost 2 years now, about a year and a half, and I stopped experimenting. I only strictly dress femininely now. So I'm just like, I miss that side of me, you know? I missed feeling like a masked lesbian. It's okay. It was a better version of me anyways. And just yeah, I want to start like I bought new suit pants, so I might start like actually going out in suits again. Yes, I used to go out in suits. Not the very formal kind, like the dress down suits, but sometimes the formal kind for occasion. But I can dress it down a little bit. I can make it so that I can like wear it maybe to a bar, like satin white top, suit pants, maybe the jacket if it's cold. It's not called a jacket. It's called forgot. Okay. Go to at least one musical concert or festival. This is foreshadowing for my friends. This is being like buy the ticket. Buy the ticket. You know which one I'm talking about. Yeah. Can't wait. I love Afrobeats. Um yeah. So that is my summer bucket list and back to starting over. I think I'm done grieving my past selves. And I hope that everyone who is listening to this also is done grieving their past selves. You know, it starts with self forgiveness and then it goes into letting go. This is my year. Literally, because the Jupiter is moving into Cancer and I'm a triple threat, quadruple threat, like languages, quadruple threat. So I've got three of my personal planets, one of my outer planets in Cancer. The Jupiter is moving into Cancer. It's literally going to be my year next June to the other June. So, but also metaphorically, it's going to be my summer and my year. Can't wait. And I hope that you give this summer, give this year, give this life to yourself. So, bye.